The federal government is proposing a new tax credit aimed at helping businesses address eligible equipment capital costs in their transition to clean energy. The 2022 Fall Economic Statement proposed the 30% Clean Technology Investment Tax Credit, partly as a response to the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act, which offers incentives to the clean energy industry. The tax credit is applied to the capital costs of eligible equipment used to generate and store electricity, including solar, wind, water, and nuclear. But one advocate says the tax credit does not go far enough with regard to nuclear energy. Dr. Keefer, president of Canadians for Nuclear Energy, has started a petition aimed at getting Candu nuclear technology included in the tax credit. But with us today to discuss this is Dr. Keefer himself. Sir, welcome to Forum Daily.
Thank you for having me back.
Our pleasure. So let's start with this petition itself, E4201. What led you to start to launch this?
We launched it just before Christmas. And, the issue here is that, our entire existing nuclear industry is a Candu nuclear industry. It's good that this investment tax credit includes SMRs, but at the present moment, we have no SMRs. So nuclear is effectively cut out. And that's a big loss because Candu is delivering big on climate change, on clean air, and on medical isotopes. So it's a serious problem that our nuclear sector and Candu nuclear in particular is being disadvantaged. The other issue is that the technologies that are being rewarded here all have supply chains that are almost exclusively overseas. So this is a blow as well to the Canadian economy and to Canadian workers.
It's interesting. Yeah, I was reading through the tax credit, and it did include the small modular nuclear reactors. So I suppose technology-wise, how is Candu technology different from SMRs?
So, we have a made in Canada solution with the Candu. It was developed here. We have, we're a tier one nuclear nation, but we don't have, for instance, uranium enrichment capacities or heavy forging capacities. So our, engineers ingeniously developed a design that got past all that, which again means that the supply chain is 100% here in Canada. And I think that's a real key difference between the Candus and the SMRs. Every dollar that we spend on Candu technology is recycled in the Canadian economy. So we get $1.40 back in GDP activity. And that GDP activity is basically Canadians getting high quality, high paying jobs, middle class jobs. So that's a very good thing. The other thing is that our Candu supply chain is based upon locally sourced uranium fuel. And as we're seeing with the geopolitical upheaval of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it's a little bit dangerous to put your eggs in the basket of another economy. Right now, most wind and solar technology is sourced from China. And who knows what goes on if China invades Taiwan. So we have a really unique opportunity with the Candu reactor that unfortunately is being left out with this move by the government.
Broader picture here, nuclear energy, we're a country that has a variety of different energy sources. So what's the overall significance of nuclear energy in Canada, given our number of other supplies?
Listen, there's a consensus that we need to double or even triple our electricity grid. And that is a mind-boggling amount of generation infrastructure that we need to bring online. Right now, Canada gets most of its electricity from hydro. But as you probably know, most of the sweet spots have been taken, and that's largely tapped out. Wind and solar lead to very expensive electricity and incomplete decarbonization because when the weather doesn't cooperate or the sun goes down, we end up running fossil fuel plants, mostly natural gas plants. So that leaves nuclear, which we know works. We built 23 nuclear reactors, commissioned them in just 22 years. And those reactors currently supply 15% of Canada's electricity, and they do so with almost zero carbon emissions. So the future potential here is huge. We have deployed them rapidly in the past, and we can do it again in the future.
A minute left here, but a consistent criticism of nuclear energy is that plants take too long to build. They're too expensive in the long term, given our transition. So is Candu technology worth including in the tax credit, given those concerns?
Listen, nuclear has provided a great return on our investment. In Ontario, where we have most of our reactors, it's the second cheapest form of electricity after hydro. You're right that big infrastructure projects in the West have been a challenge, and that's things like not only nuclear plants, but hydro dams, airports, bridges, etc. This was a challenge that our ancestors faced, but they didn't throw their hands up in the air. They got down, they got to work, and they provided us with the infrastructure that we're sort of free riding on today. And it's really our devotion now to our children that should lead us to taking on these big challenges. The key thing we have here is a large investment that we've made in renewing our Candu fleet. It's called refurbishment. It gets them to an as new condition and gives us another 40 years of operation out of our Candus. That investment isn't just in the physical infrastructure, it's in the project management. It's in the high skills workforce that we've trained specifically to Candu. And so we're in a position better than almost any other country in the West to take advantage of that and bring these projects forward. And the refurbishments are going on budget and on time and are a great leaping off point for new Candu builds that we need in order to double our grid.